Welcome to the 80th anniversary of Gearing Class Destroyers. I'm Richie Angelini. I'm here with Mike Staub.
Yep.
He was a crew member on the Kennedy. He came back. Mike, when's the last time you were on this ship?
20 years ago.
20 years ago?
Yeah.
How long were you on Kennedy?
I was on from 1971 to 1973. We decommissioned her.
What was your rate aboard?
I was an ET3, electronics technician, third class. Emergency radio was one of my workstations. HF radio was my workstation, and the crypto lab up in radio was my other workstation. So
excellent. We're going to have to go through those later to talk about how it was configured.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about anything significant you remember from being on this ship?
The biggest significance I remember on this ship was we were refueling in the North Atlantic from the USS Milwaukee, and they put the Pelican hook on backwards. I was on the in-haul team, and we pulled that rig over 4 times, and it would just unfold and fall down on the deck. So they said, the chief yelled at us, told us all we were a bunch of wimps, grab hold with both hands, because it was heavy seas, we were trying to grab it on one, and drag that line over. Well, we grabbed on with both hands, ran down the main deck towards the stern, and up from the 01 level, somebody said, holy, and hang on, and then we were hit with a wave, and it flushed the whole in-haul line down to the stern. I had rope burns, 3 like hash marks from the rope. Good thing I had my knife, I could cut myself out.
Wow.
Ran into a stanchion, 8 stitches, all right? And then as I was laying on the deck, I was watching everybody float over me like a cartoon, and then the ship righted and the wave came down and somebody landed on my foot and peeled up my big toe on my left foot. So I said, Glenn Daly came over to me, and he's looking at me and he's going. So I reached up, my hand was full of blood from the split the skull. So I thought I was going to die. Said my exit contrition, and they took me in and put me in the hall over here by sick bay. And one of the guys got his leg stuck in the fire hose applicator, and every time the ship rolled and the wave came up, it broke his leg again. So then we had to highlight him back to the Milwaukee because they had a full service on there where they could cast him up and everything else.
Right.
Somebody got their skin peeled back from the wrist to their elbow. So they're lining us all up in the hallway. And the chief corpsman comes down, and he looks at, there's about 8 of us lined up in a hallway, all stages disrepair. And he looks at all of us, and he goes, you're first. So he takes me in, they lay me down on the barber chair, it's operating table. Mm-hmm. And he starts to stitch me up on my head while the second class corpsman comes down, and he's taking my boondocker off, and he sees my toenails standing straight up. What does he do? He pushes it back down, and then he wraps it with an ace bandage. Then he dressed my wound. The anesthetic wore off, so I felt the last 2 stitches. So, and everybody's got wet. So afterwards, I looked like a refugee from the Revolutionary War, with all my gear under one shoulder. And he gave me a shot. And he says, this for getting wet. Boom. And I went back, and he says, I'll check on you in 4 hours. I went back to my berthing area. I was afraid to go to sleep. I figured concussion,
right.
Yep. 4 hours later, to his word, he came down, checked on us. He says, you're okay, you can go to sleep now. Boom. Woke up about midnight, came in here, fixed the pot of coffee used to be over on that locker there.
Okay,
we had a 30 pot on the filing cabinet, 30 pot cup. Made a pot of coffee, was sitting up here, and I saw the captain go by. And I hear her stop, and he comes back. And he asked me, he says, you okay? And I said, yeah, so far so good. And then he explained to me all the things that went wrong. And when they pulled the rig back and set it correctly, they pulled it over with only like 6 guys, and it clicked right on, and it was a successful fueling. So,
right.
Yeah, that was memorable. And then when we went through the hurricane, that was
on the way back.
That was my bunk up here in the hurricane.
Yeah, my dad was on with you, and he mentioned that storm was one of the worst storms.
It was.
And that you guys were with Basilone and Kelch and Bowen. Yeah. And the newer ships, the FFGs with 1 screw, got swamped.
Oh, yeah.
One of them was taking water over the forecastle, and Kennedy and Brownson, the two older ships, had to go back to help them.
No, we didn't go back, all right? that came across the KY-8 up on the bridge. Well, I was up on the signal bridge with Davey Ellinger. Wherever you are, Davey, God bless you.
Yeah.
And so I was helping them because they were down a signalman. And so we came down. They told us when to come down into the bridge. And we were in the bridge when the order came through.
Yeah.
And the captain got back to the admiral, and he said, I'm not turning this ship around for anybody but God. That's above your pay grade. So we beat everybody into Newport.
I understood that, right? So Bowen, because Bowen got
they
swamped.
turned around. They had a junior skipper. He almost lost that ship turning around in that high seas.
Wow.
It was one of the ships, the King class. They had fiberglass gun mounts. Poked an 8-foot hole in that gun mount. So water's coming right down the barbette into the front of the ship.
Right.
The Kelch, and I think it was a Cromwell or one of the other DEs, came up alongside of it in that storm to help it pump the water out to keep it going straight. And Roosevelt, one of the elevator doors blew off. Wow. You could look through that ship like a piece of Swiss cheese, and they had planes chained down on the deck. They all got washed off.
Wow.
Our air search 29 antenna got bent. Forward mount got a crack in it.
Right.
And was taking water in the forward.
Yeah.
All the life rafts, except for 3, got torn off the ship. None of them inflated. All right? So when we got back, the captain's order was when we pulled in Newport to put the life rafts on the deck, out on the pier, have them examined. Only 1 inflated of the 3.
Wow.
And when they looked at the sea rats, had Lucky Strike greens in there.
From World War II?
Before World War II. During World War II, they went to white. So that was before. Wherever they got the sea rats for those, when we were in the yards, they should have been inspected. But so we, by the grace of God, we survived and made it back. So yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry,
Mike,
I talked too much.
No, that's okay. Mike, you came aboard today and you brought back this device. You want to tell us a little bit about it and where you got it?
Okay, I got it from right here as a plank owner when we decommissioned the ship. And that was, first they told us it was going to be made razor blades. So we had to gut everything off the ship that we could. Then they came down and said the Kennedys bought it. And it was going to be brought up here for a museum. So we had to bring other stuff back. This was one of the things, as a plank owner, I took with me when I left. We used this for testing resistance bridges, power supplies. You can hook up different things on here, such a resistance. Now, I took the batteries out so it wouldn't rot. All right, but you can go to Bupers and pick up some batteries and put it in to make it authentic, to make the meter work.
Yep.
So this was used in test with our test equipment, like the oscilloscopes and the meters that you have. You have a Simpson over there, and we had various meters here that we used, and signal generators. So this was where the ETs did their work. And we used to have a work list up on the board as to what required work, what was damaged, sit reps, and so on and so forth. And then, so this is where the ETs met in the morning for quarters. And we got our coffee, and then we went and did our stuff. Now, underway, we might have had a radio watch or up on the signal bridge, wherever operations personnel were needed, because the ETs didn't really stand watches unless we were needed. And then we went around and did our jobs and so on and so forth. So emergency radio was in the back. WRT-1 was one of my responsibilities. And up in radio, the HF room was WRT-2s and URC-32s. They were mine. And Cal, he did the UHF 20s and 21s. I did the teletypes in the crypto gear, the 14s and 37s in secure radio. And then I also did the Loran, and then later on we had the Omega that we put in up in the quartermaster's shack there. So that was my responsibility. And the IFF was also my responsibility, and that was right outside the radar room.
Excellent. Thank you.
My pleasure.